Let's continue with our discussion right here. Here's another formula that we'll want to know for our Cartesian coordinate system. This one is the midpoint formula. This is actually pretty easy, but let me go ahead and illustrate. Let's say, once again, we have two coordinate points somewhere in the plane right here. It doesn't matter where we pick them. But let's call this point number 1. Of course, we'll call this one point number 2. This time, we're not interested in the distance between them. We're actually interested in the coordinate location of the midpoint. How do we get a midpoint? Well, whenever we have our x and y locations in each of our coordinates, oops, this is 1, and here is x2, y2, we're interested in finding the point that is exactly halfway between these two. Just imagine you're putting this chair in your room and you want to put your speakers in the point that is exactly in between those two speakers. So we want to find the place that's right in between these two. To me, I see it as an average. How? Well, let's look at the x values. Let's call this x1. And here's the point where x2 exists. We want to find the point that's right in between them. Right? What would that coordinate be? Well, in fact, that coordinate would be x1 plus x2 divided by 2. We add those 2 points and divide by 2 to get an average. The same thing happens when we talk about y1 and y2. So in fact, here's our midpoint formula. If we're interested in finding the midpoint between two given coordinate points x1 and y1, we're going to say that for the x coordinate, we're going to add x1 to x2 and divide it by 2, the average of those two. And we're going to take y1, add it to y2, and divide it by 2. That's the average of our y values. Well, let's try it out right here. Again, they're given our example. We're told that we have coordinate points 1, -1, and 5, 5. So let me see. Here's about what 1, -1 might look like in the plane. I always like getting a visual image of where I'm at. And the point 5, 5, well, we go 5 to the right, 5 up. Let's say probably right about here. Let's call this point 5, 5. Again, I'm just doing some estimates based on just eyeballing it right here. But we're interested in finding the point right in between. Right? Where is that coordinate point? All right, well, let's work it out right here. We'll call this one x1. We'll call this point y1. We'll call this point x2, and we'll call this point y2. All right, so let's add these things up. Our midpoint will be found by taking x1 plus x2. So we're going to take 1 plus 5 and divide the sum by 2 to get our average, and then we're going to take -1 plus 5 divide by 2 to get our y coordinate. Now we just do a little bit of arithmetic right here. This is 6 divided by 2 on the left for our x coordinate, 4 divided by 2 on our right to get our y coordinate, and so of course our midpoint is the coordinate point 3, 2. And this point right here looks like it could fit the bill, 3, 2, or thereabouts. So that's our answer. More in the next video.